everyone, and welcome. So today, we're going to talk about love, but probably not in the way you're used to thinking about it. We're going to dive into this really beautiful philosophical idea that kind of flips the script on what it really means to fall for someone. You've probably heard some version of this before, right? It's a classic way we try to make sense of heartbreak. The love itself was real, but maybe the person just wasn't who we thought they were. It's a simple idea, and it's comforting. Okay, but here's where we take a fascinating turn. What if the person we fell in love with was never actually the real physical person standing in front of us? I know, that sounds a little wild, but what if we actually fall in love with something we built inside our own minds? That's the core idea we're going to unpack.
So, to really get our heads around this, we need to draw a clear line between two things. On one side, you have the actual person, and on the other, you have the idea of that person, the one that lives and breathes inside your head.
This mental construct is what we'll call the persona. Think of it like a piece of art that you create, piece by piece. It's an idealized image, and you're the artist. It's painted with your own hopes, it's shaped by all the best qualities you see in them, and it's colored by your deepest emotions. And here's the absolute key difference. The actual person out there in the world, they're flawed, they're complex, they can change. But the persona, that's your truth. It represents an ideal. And since it's built from your own feelings, it's literally a part of you. That's why the love you feel for it can't possibly be false. It's as real as anything you'll ever feel. So what this means is that our love is aimed at this internal reflection, an image that we see in the other person. And because of that, even if the real person changes or disappoints us, the love we had for that beautiful persona we built, that was and always will be 100% true. Okay. So this brings up a really important question. What happens over time? If our love is for an ideal, how on earth does it survive the test of time and, the harsh light of reality? Well, here's the really powerful argument. It doesn't fade. In fact, just the opposite. Time doesn't wear down the persona, it refines it. The connection evolves. It gets richer, deeper, and in so many ways, it becomes even more real. So how does that even work? Well, it happens in stages. First, there's acceptance. You start to see their flaws, but instead of running away, you embrace them. And that makes the persona feel less like a dream and more like a living, breathing reality. Then comes connection. You build a shared history together, a whole story. And finally, all of that matures into devotion. Your love becomes like a treasured vintage that just gets more valuable with every year that passes. And this is the bottom line. Love doesn't expire and turn out to be a lie. It transforms. That initial spark, that idealization, it matures into this steady, incredible devotion. And this journey of devotion can actually lead somewhere even more profound. It can take love from being just a human emotion and elevate it into a full-on spiritual path, a way to truly understand yourself.
In Sufism, they have a name for this. Ishq-e-hakiki. It describes the journey from worldly love, loving another person, to divine love. The person you love becomes like a mirror, and through them you start to see a reflection of something sacred, something much, much bigger than both of you.
When you reach this state, your ego, that part of you that's always thinking me, it starts to dissolve. Love is no longer a transaction, no more give and take. It becomes an act of total surrender. The lover sees a reflection of the divine in the beloved, and from that, a deep, unshakable faith is born. You can almost think of it as a spiritual triangle. You've got the lover, who surrenders their ego, you have the beloved, who acts as that mirror to the divine, and the line that connects them is the soul of the relationship, this sacred bond, this understanding that you are both part of the same eternal light. Now, all of this sounds absolutely beautiful, but it forces us to ask a really critical question. In our fast-paced modern world, is this kind of love even possible anymore? Is it a lost art? I mean, when you really think about it, this deep, devotional kind of love is often seen as impractical, maybe even useless in our society. So why is that? Why do we struggle so much to build this kind of profound connection? Well, there seem to be a few big roadblocks. We live in an age of instant gratification. We just don't have the patience to let love slowly deepen and evolve. We're also terrified of vulnerability. The idea of surrendering our ego is scary in a world that tells us to protect it no matter what. And let's be honest, love often gets reduced to something on the surface, a social media post instead of a sacred connection. And the contrast is pretty stark when you lay it all out. Devotional love requires patience, it embraces being vulnerable, and it's all about surrender. So much of modern love, on the other hand, demands instant results, it's afraid of vulnerability, and it's ultimately centered on the self. So I want to leave you with this one question to think about. Loving the persona is really about loving an idea, loving a reflection of the soul. But in a world that is so obsessed with surfaces, with what's tangible and immediate, do we still have the courage to love something so deep, so real, and yet so completely invisible?